The storm had been building since late afternoon, the kind that darkened the sky without warning and turned. The horizon the color of old bruises. Elias Crow noticed it from the far fence line, felt it in the way the wind pressed against his chest, and the horses grew restless. By the time he rode back toward the house, rain was already falling in heavy, slanted sheets, flattening the grass and turning the dirt road into a slick ribbon of mud. That was when he saw her. She was little more than a shadow at first, a shape moving against the downpour, struggling up the rutted path toward his gate. Most people knew better than to wander this stretch of land uninvited, especially in a storm. Elias slowed his horse, eyes narrowing, not in suspicion, but in assessment. She walked like someone who expected the ground to disappear beneath her at any moment. He dismounted without hurry and opened the gate, letting it swing wide. The rain plastered her hair to her face, dark strands sticking to skin gone pale with cold. She froze when she noticed him, shoulders drawing in, fingers clenching the frayed shawl wrapped around her like armor that had already failed. "You can come in," he said, keeping his voice even. He'd learned long ago that fear fed on sudden movements and sharp tones. Storm's got no mercy tonight. She studied him the way hunted things do, measuring distance, searching for traps. Whatever she saw must have been enough, because after a moment she nodded once and stepped through the gate, boots sinking into the mud. The house stood solid against the wind, lamps glowing warm behind rain-streaked windows. Elias led the way without looking back to see if she followed. He didn't need to. He could hear her footsteps, light but determined, clinging to his like a lifeline. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of coffee and wood smoke. The fire crackled low in the hearth, steady and patient. Elias shrugged out of his coat and hung it by the door, then pulled a towel from the peg and set it on the back of a chair. "Dry off," he said. "I'll get you something warm." She hesitated again, then obeyed, blotting water from her hair and face with careful, almost apologetic motions. He set a chipped mug on the table and poured steaming water into it, dropping in a spoonful of grounds. He slid it toward her and turned away, giving her the small dignity of privacy even in kindness. She wrapped both hands around the mug as if afraid it might vanish. The heat made her inhale sharply, a small sound that spoke volumes. Elias busied himself at the counter, slicing bread, laying out what little food he had left from the day. He didn't ask her name. He didn't ask where she'd come from. Those questions could wait or never be asked at all. The rain drummed on the roof, relentless. The clock on the wall ticked, marking time that felt both slow and precious. When he finally set the plate in front of her, she stared at it as though it might accuse her of something. "You don't have to," she said softly. "I know," he replied. "Eat anyway." She did, slowly at first, then with more urgency, chewing carefully like someone used to rationing. Elias sat across from her, not watching too closely, but close enough to notice the tremor that returned to her hands once the worst of the hunger eased. "You can stay," he said. "Loft's clean. Or the couch if you prefer." Her eyes flicked up, surprise breaking through the exhaustion. "You didn't ask." "I didn't need to." A faint, almost disbelieving breath left her. She nodded, the motion stiff. "I'll be gone by morning." "That's your choice." Silence stretched again, heavier now, loaded with things unsaid. Elias felt it the way he felt pressure changes in the air, something about to break. She stared into her mug, watching the last wisps of steam curl away. "They said you wouldn't ask questions," she murmured. Elias stilled. "Who's they?" She swallowed. "People." That answer didn't satisfy him, but he let it rest. "People talk. They said you'd help anyway." That, he thought, was more dangerous. He leaned back slightly, studying her for the first time with intent. The bruises she thought she'd hidden, the careful way she chose each word. This wasn't chance. Someone had pointed her here. "And why would they say that?" he asked. She hesitated, then spoke so quietly he almost didn't hear her. "Because of your name." The fire popped, sending a spray of sparks up the chimney. Elias felt something cold slide into his gut. "My name," he repeated. She nodded, finally lifting her eyes to his. "Elias Crow." The sound of it in her mouth hit him like a blow. No one here used his full name anymore. Most didn't know it. He'd made sure of that. "Who told you?" he asked, his voice lower now. "My mother. The word landed with weight, pulling the past forward whether he wanted it or not. A woman with fire and stubborn hope. A goodbye he'd told himself was necessary. A life he'd sealed off and buried under years of quiet. "How does your mother know me?" he asked. Her eyes shone, but she didn't cry. "Not yet. She said you saved her once, said you were brave enough to walk away." His jaw tightened. He remembered walking away. He remembered thinking it was the kinder choice. "She also said," the woman continued, her voice trembling now, "that you never knew about me." Elias stared at her, the pieces aligning with a cruel, perfect logic. The curve of her mouth, the set of her eyes, things he hadn't wanted to see before. "What's your name?" he asked. "Anna." The name cracked something open inside him. He sank into the chair, suddenly aware of the years pressing down on his shoulders. "Who's chasing you?" he asked. She wrapped her arms around herself. "A man who knows who my mother was." "And what she meant to you." The storm outside softened, rain easing to a whisper. "You can stay," Elias said finally. "Not just tonight." Her breath hitched, hope and fear colliding in her eyes. He stood and placed a hand on her shoulder, grounding them both. "No one's taking you from here," he said. "Not anymore." And for the first time since the storm began, the house felt full, not of rain or ghosts, but of a truth that had finally found its way home.